Okay, so after about 15 seconds of my last video, before the tap, you're getting that in a second, I discovered that if I start recording in vertical, it fucking stays in vertical. That's weird. I mean, the fucking thing will rotate any other time. I wasn't really talking about anything at that point anyway, other than having noticed how very, very brown my eyes are. Anyone happens to know a gemstone that's, kind of close to that color? Hit me up. Let me know. Beryl, I think, might be. Let's see. It's Monday. I essentially took yesterday off. I didn't actually, but I wasn't online very much. And I realized how very much I need a day away with no concern whatsoever for videos. So I'm trying to think of a good day to take off. And today is definitely not it. I've got a guest spot on the Discordant Dragons cast tonight. That's 7 o'clock. No, that's not right. No, it's 7:30 my time, so it's 5 CST, 6 Eastern Standard. Yeah, so 7:30 Newfoundland time, because I'm not going to remember it any other way. I'm on with Yiz the Eunuch and crew. I'm not sure who else is on the show yet. And it's kind of a role-playing political commentary thing, which I really like the format. Generally keeps it very light. It's, I would be, if you're old enough to remember Front Page Challenge in Canada, it's kind of like that, but with a role-playing aspect because they're dragons. And yeah, it's a interesting concept, and it'll be my first time on an actual Discordant Dragons. I've been on with yous before, last week, if I remember right. But yeah, in the meantime, I wanted to talk about fact checking. Just happened to come across a meme of Trudeau that was retweeted by Randy Hillier, and the fact check of the meme. Basically, it's Trudeau talking about replacing old stock European Canadians. Now, the meme itself has been called fake, and I wasn't able to find a further source than a retweeted, or rather, than an article claiming Randy Hillier had retweeted it. Randy Hillier's Twitter account has since been suspended. He's an MPP, or he was at the time, in Ontario. Let's see. Okay, so the meme talks about, or the meme is a quote attributed to Trudeau talking about replacing old stock Canadians, and it's supposedly referencing his open borders immigration policy. It's open one way. That's not an open border, that's a valve. But the fact check article that I found refers to it as a white nationalist conspiracy, refers to the meme linking Trudeau to a white nationalist conspiracy. But he's replacing old stock Europeans. How is that white nationalist? That's kind of strange. And I think part of it is that the whoever wrote the article, I can't remember now. If you guys really want the links, I can find them. They're on the Discord. Excuse me. Seagulls already. But they're on the Discord, or on different Discords that I'm part of, because I had posted the meme when I first discovered, or reposted, sorry, because it was originally posted to a Discord I'm in. And I had spread it out a bit, and someone had challenged it for source, which was fair. And I was like, yeah, okay, no problem. I'll go find a source. I'm sure I've heard Trudeau use, and I have heard Trudeau use the term old stock Canadians before. It turns out, when he was originally running for Prime Minister the first time, he accused Harper of using the term and called it a slur or discriminatory. Yeah, but the reference that, or the circumstance I'm thinking of is a press conference he was giving, where he was talking about old stock Canadians as racists. Yeah, he changed his fucking tune when he got in office, didn't he? And of course, while I'm down that rabbit hole, I find the quote of him talking about how he admires China's basic dictatorship, and how Quebecers are better than everyone else, and, you know, how Canada belongs to Quebec. Yeah. Trudeau's not a white nationalist. He's a Quebec nationalist communist. Or maybe even a Quebec nationalist socialist. If we look at his personal philosophies. You know, if we patch together the various things he said. But obviously, if he said he wants to replace old stock Canadians, that's very much not a white nationalist thing. And the article writer clearly has some severe anti-white animus. And the thing I don't understand about that, in general, is why someone would be anti-white, or really anti-Western, because, you know, you live in a Western civilization built by white people. Sorry, proud, not gonna apologize for it. I've never really understood why it's okay to be proud to be gay, native, female. What's that other one? You know, you can be proud to be from where you're from, which is a circumstance of birth. You can be proud to be, I'm a proud woodworker, for example. And that's actually something I earned. But I'm not allowed to be a proud white man. And YouTube will probably eat my channel for just me saying that. But I'm posting it anyway. Because I am proud, I am white, and I am a man. And really, people need to have the right to be proud of who they are. And if you tell one group, oh no, you go ahead and be proud of who you are, and you tell another group, no, you're not allowed to be proud of who you are, that's discrimination. That's, well, it's not prejudice. Well, prejudice other people, but that's discrimination. And we have laws against that in this country. So, while someone who's native can wear a native pride hat, I can't stand next to them wearing a white pride hat. Which, granted, given the, you know, uses of that slogan before, fine. But I will happily say that I am proud to be white. And I am proud to be a man. And I am proud to be a white man. Because white men built Western civilization. I don't give a shit what the 1619 Project says. For the record, by 1619, white men had already been in North America for the better part of 140 years, I think, at that point. Well, 120, certainly. That's 3 generations. Minimum 3 generations. As I recall from when I was a kid in school, generations were considered to be about 30 years long. So, yeah. And, you know, I kind of always wonder too, being that I'm a proud Newfoundlander and an ethnic one, how long does it take to become indigenous? How long do your people have to live on land before they become indigenous? Is it 100 years? Is it 200 years? Is it 1,000 years? Okay, so why aren't the English considered indigenous in England? Why aren't the French considered indigenous in France? Why aren't... Well, I mean, Newfoundlanders settled this country before it became a province. And that was an interesting whistle in my throat. I don't know if you guys even heard that. But why the anti-white animus? It doesn't make sense. I mean, I tend to synonymize, and I'm following Jason Kuna's pattern with this. If you haven't read Going Free, I recommend it. Especially if you're younger, because the people around my age who grew up watching Cosby, wow, but Fresh, oof, even Fresh Prince now, oof, that's got some, oof, that's got some oof in hindsight now too. But I mean, the kids who grew up watching that and loving those shows, we didn't care they were black. We didn't have a lower opinion of them because they were black. In fact, anytime racism was examined or touched on in the show, for example, the time Carlton got told he was not really black, we were just as offended as anyone in the show. Carlton was one of my favorite characters. He was an outsider. And I mean, really, if you want to compare them, Alex Keaton and Carlton were basically the same character, just different colors. And that was fine, right? Denise Huxtable, Lisa Bonet, was a sex symbol. You think it was all black men who were into her? Got news for you. Yeah, like the thing that I don't understand is how people who hate Western culture continue to live in Western culture. I personally, at this point, I absolutely hate living in Canada. It fills me with disgust to see the way people have allowed our government to just become a tyranny. Which might very well be something else that gets me yeeted from YouTube. I'm kind of letting it all hang out today. But why people in the West think that hating the West is going to gain them anything is beyond me. And actively seeking to destroy the Western world, the Western society, the Western civilization. That's counterproductive to your goal. Your goal is freedom for your people. Work within the Western framework. There's, I hate to say it, but that knob, Gutsy Kodo or whatever his name was, the one they called Black Hitler, or actually I think he even called himself Black Hitler for that matter, or herself. I don't know if he's changed pronouns, it's changed pronouns, they've changed pronouns. You know, if they have, then that's an accident on my part. But there's another problem with Canadian law. Now making that accidental confusion is a criminal act, potentially. But why tear down the society that lets you argue against its goodness? If we were still in, well, if you were in Africa or Asia and kicked up a stink against the government, or even Russia, for example, kick up a stink against the government, you probably disappear. Here in the West, you're told, okay, you have the right to say that. I disagree with you, but you have the right to say that. But then the moment someone disagrees with you, you tell them, oh, you don't have the right to say that. No, that's not how that works. If you want fairness and equality, you need to share the fairness and equality. There is a very militant part of me that very happily reminds people that the last time white men went off, we went off to Africa and took it. And the time before that, when we went off to North America and took it. Yeah. And even if we just go on a ethnic level, the last time the Englishmen went off, they went off to France and took it. Which, it's only fair because, well, technically the last time the French went off, they went off to England and took it. 1066, I think. But, white men have been going off and taking things for a long time. It's kind of funny how the same society that gets wrongly blamed for creating slavery is actually the society that stopped slavery. The white men, the Western society. Yeah. Don't ever let people forget that. When they start screaming at you, oh, you need to give us reparations for slavery. Yeah, point out to them, you got reparations. Some of my people died to free you. Well, technically, some of my people died to free your people. That's your reparations. Kiss my ass for everything else. Get to work. It's another beautiful thing about the Western civilization. If you work, you flourish. As opposed to, say, communism, where if you work, well, you get to work. Maybe. No guarantee you're going to eat, no matter how hard you work. One of my favorite gun tubers, Brandon Herrera, pointed out, and I'm coming to the close of my little ramble this morning. But one of my favorite YouTubers, Brandon Herrera, whose content is actually really good, I would recommend his stuff because he is a huge fan of the AK platform, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I love that 40s, 50s aesthetic, so I like that. Oh, sorry. Forgot I wasn't tapping on the screen. Close enough. But even he points out, in his admiration of Mikhail Kalashnikov, peace be upon him, even he points out that under communism, under capitalism, where Eugene Stoner or Samuel Colt or any number of other people, where these people were able to create something and flourish in the distribution of it, Mikhail Kalashnikov was a genius, and I use genius in the generating context, and in the not generating the idea side of things. But even though Mikhail Kalashnikov was a genius of firearms engineering, the only thing he really got out of it, because he lived under Soviet communism, was a guarantee of food. And it was probably not a great guarantee. It was basically a guarantee of food as long as he was still a productive citizen. Now, that side of things, the guarantee of health if you are a productive citizen, that's true under capitalism too, except in capitalism, unlike communism, where capitalism taxes you and requires you to give a certain amount to the government, ideally to maintain your standard of living, leaving aside the socialized welfare state aspects of things like Social Security and pensions and universalized healthcare, which is garbage, by the way. But under communism, same thing, right? Really. You had to be productive in order to flourish, except there's a limit to how much flourishing you're allowed, because you know, it's communism. Everyone has to be equal. And the only way to keep people equal, when some people are productive and some people aren't, is to push everyone down to the same level. Whereas under capitalism, if you are productive, you and other people see you being productive and flourishing from that productivity, they can be encouraged to work harder, be more productive themselves, and create for others. Under communism, you can't build a company where you can employ your community. You can't enrich your community by starting a company under communism. The government starts the company and tells your community to go to work. Now, if you're a communist and you don't see a problem with that, yeah, 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 um, yeah. If that's something you like the idea of, fuck off to China. Seriously, don't stay in a Western country and try to vote that shit in. You're obviously in the wrong place. Go be with your people. Go be with people who are like-minded. Right? If you want to be a communist, go find somewhere you can be a communist. Don't bring it here to the West. The West is not communist. The West is individual achievement and community enrichment. Communism is the enrichment of the collective at the expense of the individual. Whereas under capitalism, you have the enrichment of the community at the behest through the flourishing of the individual. Anyway, I'm way over time on this. I suspect this isn't going to upload very fast, so I'm going to try and cut it off before 22:22, and I'll tell you guys now to have a good day, continue to have good days, and hopefully you can rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye. Like, share, subscribe, comment, donate if you feel like it. Bye-bye.